Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Tittle Tattle Tarot. It's Georgie. And today I have some scandal. I have got a little reading lined up for you about the Duchess of Argyll, also known as the Dirty Duchess. Okay, so let's have a little look at this. It's a very interesting one, this. I want to find out whether she was just a loose woman, whether she was just terrible morals, or had a bad reputation, did some really dirty duchessy kind of things. Was it that, or was it a brain injury? Is that what caused her behavior? Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of all of this. We're talking about Margaret, Duchess of Argyll. Before she was married, before all of that, in 1912, she was born, very privileged woman, aristocratic upbringing, debutante of the year, clever, photogenic. Just the press went wild over her, like sort of a model of her time. And in 1933, she married an American called Charles Sweeney, and has massive interest in this. There are just like traffic jams everywhere, people wanting to see her on her wedding. And, they were married and they had a couple of children. Unfortunately, she had loads of miscarriages. I think she had about 8 miscarriages. So it was very sad for her, the babies that she lost. And he wasn't faithful. So they basically divorced in 1947. But before they divorced, she went to an appointment. It was a medical appointment. And somehow she fell down a lift shaft. This was in 1945. So 2 years before she actually divorced her American husband, fell 40 feet down a lift shaft. So I just want to just pull a card on that alone. 40 feet down a lift shaft. Ace of Cups, funnily enough. So let's see. Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So, you could say Ace of Cups is a new beginning. It's a new way of being. In fact, this is really, really strange, because when I pulled the Ace of Cups, I thought, what? Falling 40 feet down a lift shaft gives me the Ace of Cups. But now, in my head, I'm thinking, after this accident, she became very sexually wanton, if you like. For the time, we're talking about the 1940s, she was extremely, I don't know the word for it. I don't know the word that I can use on YouTube, but you know what I mean. She was a bit of a scarlet woman. And the Ace of Cups, that is all that emotion, all that passion that she had. And this injury, I'm thinking that it was the injury that caused this, because it led to Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So, up until then, there was no history of her being a loose woman. There was no history of her sleeping around. Her husband had, but there was no history of her doing it. But after this, she started seeing various men. She really, her whole attitude to sex and relationships changed, and that led to her divorce in 1947. I guess that it was okay for the husband to run around on her, but as soon as she started to have affairs, that led to a divorce. So 1945, fell down the lift shaft. Her whole attitude to relationships changed. She started seeing other men being very sort of provocative, and that led to her divorce. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Now, although this accident, as we can see, it sort of led to her opening up her emotions, probably overly so, becoming very emotional, very free with her emotions, shall we say. It led to the Wheel of Fortune in reverse because everything started going downhill from here. So let's just have a look. She gets divorced in 1947. And this is when she gets her title, Duchess of Argyll, because she marries the Duke of Argyll. So let's just pull a card for the Duke of Argyll. Page of Cups in reverse. Now, a page is not It's not a very high-ranking card. It's not the kind of card you'd expect from a duke, but it is in reverse, which is unstable energy. So this is a message. It's probably a message from the gods. Don't marry this man. It's an unstable union. I can imagine that being the message from that. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Well, yes. This is interesting. So if you said that the Page of Cups, that isn't the Duke of Argyll, but this is like the message from the page. And the message from the page is this person will not bring out the best in you. This is like a mentally unstable union. This will be a mentally unstable union, which will bring about the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Ace of Pentacles in reverse, Ace of Pentacles upright. You know, you're going to birth something brilliant with this relationship. It's going to be very grounded. You know, fruit will come from this, not necessarily children, but, you know, good earth, good, a blossoming relationship. Ace of Pentacles. Page of Cups, yes, the page comes along. This is a message from the heart. Marry this man. He's your soulmate. They use that word, don't they? His soulmate. You know, marry this man. A wonderful union. The Page of Cups bringing forth a lovely message. Well, we don't have that. We have, I think, please think about this. This isn't a good marriage. This isn't a good union. And this will bring nothing but uprooted, very unstable energy, which it did. Now, you've got to remember, she is now, for whatever reason, she's a very sort of sexually explicit woman. I believe he was as well, but there was drinking, there was too much drugs, too much drink, too much violence. So let's just get a card on that. This is the marriage with the Duke of Argyll. It's very tempestuous. There we are. Look at that. Devil in reverse. That's exactly what it was. You can just see, you know, the heat and the passion as well. But I can just imagine that it would have been very, very confrontational. Too much of everything, too much sex, too much drink, too much drugs. The devil in reverse, the absolute, the devil in its, of course the devil's a bad aspect, but in its worst possible, the devil times 10. You know, this couple, they should have listened to the Page of Pentacles. Don't go there. Ace of Pentacles in reverse, this will be an uprooting of everything. It will not be a good union. They didn't listen. She didn't listen. She went ahead and she brought down the devil on her. So the Duke of Argyll, he was looking to divorce her. He wanted to divorce. This woman was just too off with other men, too drunk, too this, too that. So he wanted a divorce. And he found her diaries, and he must have found things in those diaries that, you know, talking about her relationship with other men, etc. So he found her diaries. Three of Wands. Yeah, we've got the Three of Wands in reverse. Three of Wands upright. That is, you know, you can see your ship coming in. You can see brighter times ahead. If it'd been this way up, then you could sort of think to yourself, well, you know, in the diaries, it was sort of saying, oh, you know, my wife still loves me. She's written in my diary, she still loves me. She's coming back to me. We're gonna work this out. You know, my ship's coming in with all my everything that I require on it. Everything's going to be fine. But no, he read these diaries, and it was immediately, there is no future for this relationship. She's seeing other men. She's being sexual with other men. And this is dropped. There is no future in this marriage. So let's have another one. He found photographs, and these were highly, for the time, I mean, even for now, if a woman had been photographed in this way, it would be pretty scandalous, even now, I think, really. Or maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I thought I was quite shocked. And I'm not going to say what they were doing, but you can probably use your imagination. I'm sure you've got imaginations. It was taken with a Polaroid camera. And you've got to remember, back in the sort of late 40s, 50s, a Polaroid camera was, oh God, such luxury. And there were only certain people in society that would have had them. You know, very rich people. So, you know, he made a list of all the people that this could have been, because the man involved in this photograph, he didn't have a head. His head had been conveniently cut off. Look, the Hierophant in reverse. The Hierophant upright, this is the Pope. She's actually, I think she changed to be a Roman Catholic. So the Pope is the sort of, you know, or the Hierophant is the sort of Pope card, although it doesn't really mean religion anymore. It just means your rules and your code of conduct. Well, her code of conduct had gone right out of the window. And, you know, this photograph was, oh my goodness, so scandalous. The Hierophant in reverse. The Dirty Duchess. Well, what a scandal. And unfortunately, this photograph went far and wide, and it was absolutely, it was dreadful. It kind of demonized her. It was used in the divorce along with the diaries, and this divorce dragged on and on and on and on and on. And her reputation was ruined. Let's see what we can get on the Duchess of Argyll, her reputation. She had to, yeah, look at that 9 of Cups. She'd gone from this very extravagant lifestyle. 9 of Cups is, oh, I have all the drink, all the drugs, all the food. I have everything at my fingers. If I want a mink coat, I have a mink coat. You know, it's all that very, I'm all right, Jack. I've got all this stuff and it's coming to me, and it's quite a smug card. I've got all my pleasures taken care of. Well, no, with the divorce, she didn't. She didn't. And this was just not only financially did it ruin her, but it ruined her reputation. She had to sell her home, and you know, it actually totally ruined her reputation. So I want to go back to this fall. People say, you know, she was always like that. She was always sexually explicit. She was always very loose morals. They said that, you know, people that had known her, they said, no, she was always like that. She was always like that. 10 of Cups. Well, according to the card, she wasn't. She wasn't. You know, she came from a good family. She was a debutante. She was very much photographed by the press, loved by the press. She married for love to her first American husband. And, you know, their marriage was good, but he had affairs, she had those miscarriages. You know, there was unhappiness there, but no sign that she would turn into this dirty Duchess. So what about this fall, falling 40 feet down a lift shaft? I mean, that's horrendous. She had about 30 stitches in her head. So let's get right under here. What about this fall? Knight of Wands. Well, the Knight of Wands, he's a very sexual sort of messenger. And I think, you know, with the phallic symbol, this is sex. This is sex on horse. And I just think everything that I've seen here is kind of pointing me in the direction of this wasn't the way that she was before. It was this massive head injury, 30 stitches, this colossal fall that did something to her, that sort of changed her in some way. Let's just see. Were there any other changes? Any other changes in her? See what the cards will say. 4 of Pentacles. This is the greedy miser card, holding on. Now, I don't see this as, you know, after the fall, she was still very wealthy. She hadn't lost her money. You know, she was still very wealthy. She went on to marry the Duke of Argyll. But this 4 of Pentacles, I don't see it as money. I see it as emotions, holding on to your emotions. I think that outwardly she was very sexual, but inwardly very insecure. I think the fall had made her terribly insecure, and the way this character is holding on to its pentacles, holding on to its emotions. And I think the only way she could express herself was through sex, which is interesting. Let's see what else the cards say. What else will the cards say? 6 of Cups. That's your nostalgia card. I don't believe that she was always like that. Nostalgia is your happy looking back. I think that she looked back And, you know, her life had changed so much, and anybody that knew her properly, not people that had a vested interest in, you know, her husband's side of things, but anybody who knew her personally knew that looking back, the way she once was nothing like the way she was after the accident. So after the accident, you know, finally, this Duke of Argyll, he then divorced her because, you know, he felt that her behaviour and the sex that she was having with other people and what have you was just too much, and he was going to divorce her. It took a long time, but he divorced her, and the judge in the situation, they like put the son onto their relationship, and everybody was looking at this divorce. The sun, if the sun shines on something, you can't hide it. You know, the sun illuminates every little detail, and sometimes that's brilliant, but other times, you know, if it's explicit photographs in your diary and the way that you conduct yourself sexually, you really don't want the sun you know, putting a spotlight on your behavior. And that's exactly what it did. And the judge at the time, well, he was just so dismissive of her. He called her a wanton woman. His summing up of her was, yes, it was the Tower. It was her reputation gone, absolutely gone. So here we go. I honestly think from this that it was the injury that caused this. Now, she died with nothing, basically. She died in a nursing home. She didn't have any real possessions. She sold her home, and she died penniless in 1993. And I just want a couple of final cards, just that will illustrate something of this whole terrible saga. Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords. So Duchess of Argyll in her end years, Nine of Swords. And Eight of Swords. Well, you know, how dreadful. The Nine of Swords here, she'd lost everything, this poor woman. She's in some kind of nursing home, penniless, and I should think that yes, it was sleepless nights and lamenting over what she'd lost in the past. Eight of Swords here. Eight of Swords is like the prison that you've made for yourself, and the Eight of Swords, you know, we've got this sort of blindfold around the figure. I just keep seeing this as head injury. I know this isn't a classic head injury. It's more like the, you know, Eight of Wands, which is your wounded warrior. So it's not Eight of Wands, it's Eight of Swords, but I'm still getting that feeling of, you know, the head wound, just causing this whole seismic shift in personality, and that really hems her into this life of her own passions bringing her down. The judge was so harsh, and I think that the way that he spoke about her was as though we were sort of in Victorian England. You know, it was the 60s by then, and you know, swinging 60s. She shouldn't have been demonized the way that she was. The Star, yeah, it just put, again, a bit like the sun, it put a spotlight on her and her behavior. And, you know, you can imagine all of the gutter press and everyone just looking at her, and, you know, this whole dirty Duchess, and, you know, some of the other terms that were given to her were far worse than that, I can tell you. So just one final card, please, just one final card to sum up all of this horrendous thing. Eight of Pentacles. That's your working card. So this was a debutante. I mean, she didn't have to go to work, never had to go to work. But Eight of Pentacles is, I see this as lost reputation. Your Eight of Pentacles, this is, you know, you work to establish your home, especially if you're sort of aristocracy and you're that kind of level. It was all gone. All the money had gone, her reputation, had gone, you know, being a high level person. I mean, this is like a high level person, Eight of Pentacles, you know, respected person. It's gone. All of it's gone. The money has just bled out. She basically died. I wouldn't say poverty, but she had nothing. She had nothing when she died. And my bottom line of this, let me just see if I can pull one final card, brain injury. I just see it as, you know, a total change after that full strength in reverse. I think it was strength in reverse totally changed her from being, you know, a strong independent, well, not independent, she was, you know, married to a duke, but, you know, she stood in her own power. She was probably a very go-getter woman, and she was probably sexually experienced and what have you. But after this injury, it made her very vulnerable to advances of men. It made her very, her decisions were weak. Her way of carrying out her life was not strongly moral. You know, it was just like her compass had left her and left her weak and vulnerable. I believe this was purely down to this accident, this falling, this terrible head injury that caused a total change of personality and led to her awful life and led to her dying in virtual poverty in 1993. Let me know what you know about the Duchess of Argyll, if you know any more. I've kept it very specific here because I didn't want to do too much research. I wanted the cards to tell me as much as they could. So if you have any extra information, that would be wonderful. And I shall leave you with that one, and I'll be back again very soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.